So I saw what happened there at 345 Park. Tragic. Our thoughts and prayers are with the people that were affected in that tragedy, or with the Giants. So, what do you got?
Talk to your players about any security concerns you guys have, anybody related to the league. Is that a conversation you have with any players about that?
No, I haven't had a conversation today about that.
How you guys come out of the day in pads?
Good. Yeah. We should be ready to go, doing different things, improving in some areas. So trainers have done a nice job. The players have done a nice job in this weather of staying hydrated. So hope to continue that.
Anyone not going full team today?
Yeah, there'll be guys at different spots of doing different things. We're giving them more, backing off some guys, but people will be out there.
How did Evan do? Yeah, it was kind of his first day in contact there in the new position.
Yeah, I think Evan's steadily improved. Playing inside, things happen a little quicker in there. He's a big man, so he's done a nice job on his double teams and getting movement, and it was good to see him out there in one-on-ones at the guard spot. So look for him to continue to improve.
What was that conversation like with him when you're making that change? Because he had been pretty adamant early in his career. He viewed himself strictly as a tackle. So when you have to go to him and tell him you're making that change, how'd that go?
Yeah, he was all for the team. So Evan's done a nice job this spring, and he's making daily improvements.
What are you looking for when a guy makes that transition? Like what's important, and what's maybe the hardest part that you're looking for?
Well, play well is the most important thing. Obvious. Look, it's just things change a little bit from the outside to the inside. The communication piece, things happen, like I said, a little bit quicker. You're not always on an island. Most of the time you're on an island at tackle. So, again, offensive line plays offensive line, but different skill sets required for each spot. He's had some experience with it in college, but he's taking it head on and doing everything he can do to improve each day.
Does it help that there's been some recent blueprints for success there? Becton, Eric Flowers.
I think each guy is their own individual case. Do what's best for the team, and like I said, Evans embraced it. He's been a true pro about it. Spends extra time with the line coaches, does extra work, so he's really put a lot of time and effort and energy into it, and it'll be good to see how it looks in the preseason when we can finish blocks and do those the next step. Should I stay?
You don't often see guards as tall as him.
Yeah.
How's that a challenge for him to play inside at that size?
Well, again, he's done it at Alabama. He hasn't had many issues just because of his height in there. It's just most guards are a little bit shorter than Ev. Ev's tall, big guy. Probably Russ is a good question. Good to ask Russ sometimes when those quarterbacks are standing back there, the size of some of those guys.
Dave's another Evan question. I'm just curious. You mentioned Alabama. Your ties to Alabama. Did you, whether it was when you came here or even within the last year or so, reach out to anyone down there that to kind of tap into what Evan might be thinking, what his skill set was when he first started at Alabama?
That was more in the draft process. Had a lot of relationships down there that are important to me. Good people that I trust and talk to. So that was more kind of pre-draft process or early on in his rookie season. So, but good insight.
How do you view the edge that James Hudson brings to the practice field?
Yeah, I love it for an offensive line. You're always looking for offensive line that bring an edge. And again, we got to be smart, Dan. So, what's it going to be in the fourth quarter when things get tough and somebody shoves you and pushes you? Are you able to, have the emotional maturity, if you will, to go ahead and focus on the next play and not get involved in that? That's some of the stuff we evaluate out here as well. Can these guys? Look, we've all done training camp for a long time, so emotions are going to happen. Competitive juices there's going to be stuff that happens. There is every year. There hasn't been a year since I've done it where there hasn't been, usually multiple times. So it's stuff you coach off of, you teach off of, but you want offensive linemen that have edges, that like to finish, that like contact, that enjoy the physical nature of what that position requires. But you also have to be smart in how you practice, and we've talked about this a number of times, and take care of one another. But those trenches, when the pads get on, there's a lot of contact in there, and there's a lot of pushing, and there's a lot of shoving, and you want to take it right up to the line, but not cross that line. sometimes that's going to happen. Show clips, you teach off of it. Don't want to be cheap. When you get tired, you don't want to do dumb things that affect the team in a negative way. But his edge and his personality has been a welcomed addition to the room.
Was it something you guys knew evaluating him as a free agent, or something you guys have been more impressed by just seeing him in person?
I think you learn each player as they get here. We liked his tape as a free agent. He's a very athletic guy. Was able to play both sides of the ball, and he had a good play style. But now you get to know him at a different level in the meetings. He's a pretty serious guy. I try to get him to smile once a day. Doesn't always work. And then Jameis has a pretty good relationship with him. He'd be a good guy to talk to about Hud. He's was with him there at Cleveland, and he's been a good addition for us out there. He's had a good camp. Playing there at left tackle pretty much every down. So want that aggressive approach. Also don't want to be throwing hands and doing things and that'll cost you in games. I know it's practice, but we're trying to practice like it's a game.
For a guy like Deonte Banks.
So I'm sure today something will happen, Dan.
For a guy like Deonte, having two new coaches in his ear, different style and everything like that.
Who's that?
For Tay Banks.
Banks, okay.
He's got two new coaches
Yep.
in his ear. Can that help a player? You know what I mean? To hear a different voice, just different, not, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good question for Tay. I think as a coach, we're trying to teach them what to do, show them how to do it, and really demand that they do it that way. And it's ultimately responsibility of the player to go out there and do that. But how you teach it, different ways you talk with the player. I'm sure each player that gets coached by different coaches, which happens a lot in this league. It'd be a better question for Tay.
Did he need a little something after last year? I mean, something. He's obviously locked in a competition now. His first round pick who's not being handed anything. Did he need a little spark, a little something from you or from Stairs or something to say, you need to?
Yeah, I think we just try to do what's best for the team. So handle each player the way we need to handle them. Tay's out there competing. He's playing faster. He's going to have to go out there and perform at a high level. Everybody is. It's, make sure these guys have to earn it to go out there and get play time and help us produce. Show it on the practice field and show it in the preseason games. And when your number's called in the game, know what to do. Do it at a high level. Do it with speed, toughness, aggressiveness on the defensive side of the football. That goes for every player, just not Tay.
How do you view that competition? Obviously, we see Banks and Flott taking first-team reps there.
Yeah, good competition. Competition brings out the most in people most of the time.
Coach, speaking to the previous statement, you guys got a really impressive group of undrafted rookie free agent receivers. How have you been impressed with that specific group, Jordan Blythe, Dalen Campbell, just to name a few, and how they've handled this spring and summer so far?
A lot to learn. Made some good plays. Had some mistakes like most of the rookies. I know it's a broken record, but that is the truth. They're putting in the time. Coach Groh and Coach Troy Brown have done a nice job with them. They stay extra. They do stuff. It's day by day. It's a day-by-day process for these young players to, again, not make the same mistake twice. Show that they can handle things. Giving them opportunities with different groups to see how they respond to different quarterbacks, or it's different when you're running with the 3s and 4s at time and you get thrown in there with the 1s, and there's a different sense of emotion for these guys. So you try to do that the best you can to develop them, and they've done some nice things. They've also done some things that we got to get fixed.
Two more.
Kind of on that idea of rookies, what have you seen from Darius Alexander, Marcus Bell?
He is, again, he's a lot like these other guys. There's some flashes out there. He's got length and athleticism, and he's rushed from different areas in the pass rush portion of things. He's rushed inside. We put him on the edge outside. Big body guy who's got sneaky athleticism for a big man. I know everybody sees the interception return that he had, but he's got quick feet. He's got long arms. He's got good get off. He's got I would say, a natural ability to rush, particularly on the interior side of the pocket. But then, there's double teams and down blocks and a bunch of things that you're coaching off of that are, that we got to work on.
I think it's easier sometimes to see from a quarterback, since for us watching the side, you see a receiver, you flash. But as a coach, what are you looking for from an interior defensive lineman like him to know he's ready for more? He's ready for a bigger role. Like what specifically are you kind of keen in on?
Well, production in practices and how he handles his responsibility. If you have the B gap, be in the B gap. If you have awareness on a down block, know how to take on a down block. If you're supposed to stunt on a pass rush, then make sure you stunt. If you're supposed to run a twist, run a twist. Like, do you know what to do? Are you doing what your coach should do? And then can you ultimately go out there and do it at a high level, down in and down out? And I'd say, for all of us, me included, we're not where we need to be. There's mistakes out there. That's what training camp's for. Never went through a training camp where there wasn't a mistake or practice, and you learn from it. But these young players that we've added, they're mature, but they're also very competitive. And I like how they're competing with the other people in their position groups. Go right down the list with all of them, even our second-year players. So we're young, we're working at it, and we'll evaluate them. We evaluate them on a day-to-day basis. A little bit easier now with the trench guys to see them in pads and things they need to do there. Then the next step will be the preseason games where everything is live, which will be a welcomed addition.